Okay, so today's lecture basically we are going to be discussing about the different types of important questions that can come on the various topics that we have learned till now. Okay, so we have learned a lot of topics and we'll just look whether we are able to answer all of these topics based on the knowledge that we have. Okay, in case you have any difficulty in any of these topics, then we can revise or we can discuss on these topics before we go forward. So we'll just use today's lecture to refresh our memories based on what we have learned before we proceed. Okay, so till now we have been covering the basics of mobile computing, and then we looked at the characteristics of mobile computing. We looked at the different schemes that are present in the MAC protocol. We also had discussed why MAC protocol is required. Okay, whether we can use the same MAC protocol in the wired and the wireless networks. So let's start from the beginning, and I'll just ask you certain questions, and you can type in the chat box whatever you feel is the answer. So I would request all of you to have your PPTs with you, the PPTs that I have already given to you all. Okay, refer to those PPTs while answering if you want. If you know the answers, well and good. If you don't know, you can refer to those PPTs. So if I ask you this question, what is the role of a MAC protocol? What will be the answer that you will be giving? Can I just type it out briefly, or someone can unmute and answer? Please note down the questions, okay? What is the role of a MAC protocol? What will be the answer? Yes, basically, yeah. Yash has answered. It's error control, flow control, congestion control. Okay. In one of the PPTs that I've already shared with you, okay, in that also it is mentioned that you can mention the properties of the Mac also. I've given you there are 5 properties. One of the properties that it should enforce discipline in the channel, should help maximize the utilization of the channel. Channel allocation should be fair. Okay, it should be capable of supporting different types of traffic. Then it should be a robust in case of equipment failures. All these properties also can be mentioned along to answer this question. Okay, so this is one question that could be asked on Mac. Second question is, at what ISO OSI layer does it operate? At what layer does the MAC protocol operate? Please note down these questions because you are having Viva later, so you should be able to answer these questions. Yes, correct. Data link layer. Next question that could be asked on MAC is, how do MAC protocols for wireless networks differ from those in wired networks? How do, I'll repeat the question again, you can note it down. How do MAC protocols for wireless networks differ from those in wired networks? What will you write the answer for this? Everyone got the question? How do MAC protocols for wireless networks differ from those in wired networks? in wireless protocols are more complex than wired. Okay, Suvarna, why they are more complex? What are the problems in wireless networks that you face? Correct? Collision detection. Yes, collisions are detecting collisions are a problem. Correct? What are the other problems that you have studied? So with respect to collision, you can always explain the CSMA protocol. That we have discussed in class, how CSMA protocol works fine for wired protocols, but does not work for wireless. So what are the other problems that a wireless network faces? One is collision detection, you're correct. So what else? Yeah, correct, Sakshi. In wired networks, the strength of the signal remains the same. So as the signal is traveling along the wire, collision detection is easier. Whereas in wireless, as the strength of the signal, as the distance increases, the strength of the signal decreases. So collision detection is more difficult. Yeah. So you can explain the CSMA protocol there. And yeah, the other problems that I was waiting for is the hidden terminal and exposed terminal problem. Okay, hidden terminal and exposed terminal problems are unique to the wireless or the mobile networks, and you don't face these problems in the wired networks. So you need to explain this answer with respect to these points. Okay, one is about collision, and then about the hidden and the exposed terminals. The collision also can be because of the hidden terminal problem also. We discussed it in the class, how hidden terminals can lead to collisions. Okay, I'd explained in the class with the help of a diagram. But if someone wants it to be explained, and again on Thursday or Friday when you'll come to the class, you can ask me and I'll explain again. Okay, so are you all clear what you'll need to write for this answer? How do MAC protocols differ? How do MAC protocols for wireless networks differ from those in wired networks? Okay, you need to write about these points and why they need to be different. Okay, so you can mention that these are the unique problems faced in the wireless, so they need to be different. It cannot be same. Okay, next question I'll ask you. What are the broad categories of MAC protocols? What are the broad categories for the MAC protocols? What are the categories under which you studied the different methods? Rutvija, how would you categorize the different MAC protocols? There are three main categories, right? What are those? Fixed, random, and yes, correct, correct. Fixed. I had asked this to Rutvija. Okay, anyways, yeah, you all are correct, both of you all. Prathamesh and Yash. Fixed, random, and reservation. So under you could be asked this question and you could be asked to explain one algorithm under each. So under fixed, just to revise, you had FDMA, TDMA, and CDMA. Okay. Under random assignment, you had Aloha, Slotted Aloha, CSMA, CSMA CD, CSMA CA, and under reservation, you had MACA. Okay. In MACA, we had studied the two different types of signals, RTS and CTS. And CDMA, I forgot to mention to you one thing. Okay. So please note it down. It's not there in the PPT also, I think. Please note it down somewhere. Now in CDMA, if you'll have the diagram with you all, or I'll just share the diagram with you. Wait 1 second. So please note down that these are the questions that I'll be asking to you all when you all are coming on Thursday, Friday with your experiments. Okay. I hope you all are noting down the questions. And these are the kind of questions that come for your exams in your past question papers if you refer to them. So I hope you can see the presentation. So what I was showing you was this CDMA. So in CDMA, I had mentioned to you all when you are doing the problem also, and previously when I explained the theory, that each station here will be having a data to be sent along with the code. There is data, there is code. So each station has their own data and their own code to transmit. Okay. So all of this data and the code, we have seen how it is multiplexed and sent as one code across to the receiver. Okay. Now there is some rules with regards to these codes. Okay. One rule, that is these codes that are present, the codes have to be selected in such a way that the codes are orthogonal to each other. Okay. Orthogonal. ORTHO. Orthogonal. Okay. So what is orthogonal meaning? Does anyone know what is the meaning of orthogonal? The codes have to be orthogonal to each other. If I say this sentence, what does anyone understand what it means? The codes have to be orthogonal to each other. Yes, correct. Yes, correct. So when you take the product of all the codes, when you take the inner product of all the codes, no, Rutvija, not 90 degrees. When you take the product of all the codes, the answer will come to 0. Okay. So by mistake, if the stations select the same codes, okay, and the codes or the codes are multiplied with each other, then the answer will come to 0. So that is one of the rules for selecting codes. Okay, when you're the basic idea behind choosing orthogonal is that the code should not interfere with the code of other stations. Okay, so in order for the codes not to interfere with the code of the other stations, we select orthogonal codes. Orthogonal means the inner product of the codes is equal to 0. So you can say in simpler words, vector product is 0. Okay, you can just note down. Sometimes a question is asked, why you need to select orthogonal codes in CDME. It may come for 3 marks. You need to write them that to distinguish the transmission from the different nodes, orthogonal property is required. Okay, and then you have to write the meaning of orthogonal. That orthogonal means the vector inner product is 0, and that means such codes will not interfere with the codes assigned to other nodes. Okay, I hope you have noted it down somewhere. You need to write this along with the explanation that I had given you regarding CDME. Okay. Does anyone want it to be retold or explained again? Everyone got it? Okay, I'll continue that. So again, if I ask you the question, why are collision detection based protocols not suitable for wireless networks? Okay, why are collision based protocols not suitable for wireless networks? So I think you all know this answer. We have already discussed it. So here I think Sakshi also has answered part of it. Okay, wherein she had mentioned that in a wired network, the strength of the signal. First, you need to explain. Take the example of some algorithm. So you can start with CSMA CD, okay, or CSMA, and you can tell the working of CSMA for this answer. Okay, you can explain one collision detection algorithm like CSMA, and start by telling the working of it, and then tell the working of it in the how collision detection is easier in the wired networks. Okay, it's easier in the wired networks because strength of the signal remains constant. Okay, so it's easier to detect the collision. Whereas in wireless, strength decreases, hence collision detection is more difficult. And collision detection is done at the by the sender, but actual collisions happen at the receiver's end. You can write about all of this. Okay. Then next question that could be asked is explain the MACA protocol. Okay, and in which environment it is suitable. Briefly explain its working. Further continuation, it could be asked, how does MACA solve the hidden and exposed terminal problem? So I'll just explain this question again. What is MACA protocol? So what is MACA protocol? You will write that it is a reservation based protocol and it has basically two signals, RTS and CTS. Which environment it is suitable? And you will write it is more suitable for your mobile computing or the wireless networks. And briefly explain how the RTS and CTS works. Okay. And then you can go about explaining how MACA is used to solve the hidden terminal and exposed terminal problem. So I'll just share the slide on this MACA and then maybe we can discuss on how it solves these problems of hidden terminal and exposed terminal problem. So who would like to explain the hidden terminal problem? Disha, can you try? Can you explain the hidden terminal problem from here? What is the hidden terminal problem? Is Disha there online?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Disha. Can you try? What is the hidden terminal problem?
Yes, sir. So, for, yeah, in radio range of A there is B, and in C also there is B. And when you're transmitting from when B can transmit to anyone, and but when A is transmitting, it doesn't know that C exists. So if both of them transmit at the same time, then there is a collision.
Okay. Yeah, you're correct, Disha, but then we don't know where the collision happens. So you need to specify, okay? Now, if you write like this
Yes.
for your exam, then your marks will be cut. So you need to write who will transmit, where the collision will happen, and so on. Okay? I think
Sure.
now what you have explained, everyone has understood. She meant that the collision will happen at B. Okay. Yeah. So in brief, she has explained what is the hidden terminal problem. Jasnia, can you try to explain how this MACA is solving the hidden terminal problem? I have shown the slide containing the diagram for MACA. Can you explain how it solves? Jasnia is there. Kaushik, can you try? Kaushik, try explaining how hidden terminal problem is solved using MACA. What happened, Kaushik? Don't know? Okay, but we are discussing about past lectures, not today's lecture. Okay. Okay, who wants to volunteer? Just volunteer someone. There is 34 of you online, so who wants to try to answer? Simple, no? It's difficult question I'm asking. Okay, I'll only select. Nargis, can you try? All the students who are not answering questions on Thursday, I'll be asking you more questions. Huh? If you answer online, I won't ask you so many questions on Thursday. Do you all want me to explain this topic again? Why no one is able to answer? Yeah, anyone? Can you try? Saili? What's the difficulty, students? You didn't understand? You didn't watch the video? Or you all have not revised? Tell me something, no? Why you all are not able to answer? Huh? I took at least names of 5-6 students now. Students, what's the difficulty? Yeah, they solve, but I would like someone to explain it how it solves. Have you not seen the video that was given to you last week? You all want me to explain this concept? If you want me to explain, I can explain. Just let me know in the chat box. Have you not seen this video last week? Okay. What about the others? Sanchit?
So I can try.
Yeah, Sakshi. Please try.
So there
Please try.
are
Just 1 second, Sakshi. Please try. I mean, if you all are wrong, then I can always help you. No, this is not an exam or anything. So if you all try, it's better. You all are going to have a viva later on these topics, and these same questions that I'm asking will be asked to you. Okay. So please try. And this is a very scoring subject. Not many things to learn in this subject. So you can get 80 and all out of 100 in the theory, get 45, 48 out of 15 practical Viva. It's quite easy. Okay. Yeah, Sakshi, please continue.
so it solves the hidden terminal problem. Means it sends RTS signal, that is to B, and after it also send all the station within its range that same signal. So only B is in the range of A, so only B receive the RTS signal. So after that, B receive that signal, so it sends CTS signal to all the other station within its range. So it is received by A as well as C. So after C receive that signal, in that it knows that the B is communicating with A. So I means that it has in RTC we have sender A, receiver will be there, even the transmission time will be there. So after the C receive the signal, that is CTS, it comes to know that B is communicating with A. So if the transmission time is 10, so C will wait for about 10 seconds before it transmits.
Yes, correct. Okay. Yes. So basically what she has explained is this is what your RTS and CTS contains. Okay. Both the packets of RTS and CTS signal contains this. Before your data transmission actually begins, these two packets or these two signals need to be exchanged. So RTS is sent by the sender, okay, and CTS is sent by the receiver. So basically how it works is, just refresh your memory. The same questions I'll be asking on Thursday, okay? I'm not asking something new. Please read this and come, okay? On for your offline classes or practicals. So basically, you know what is the hidden terminal problem. Hidden terminal problem is if A and C both send the data at the same time, then there's a collision at B. In order to prevent this collision from happening, they came up with this method. Okay. So before the data transmission actually begins, they decided that two signals need to be exchanged, RTS and CTS. Now, if A wants to send data to B, it will first send a RTS signal. Okay, it will send this RTS signal. Like I showed you in this previous slide, RTS contains this information: name of the sender, name of the receiver, and time for transmission. So when you send this packet, A will send within its range. This is the range of A. This is the range of A. So within the range of A, this RTS is sent in all the directions. Okay, it's not only sent in the direction of B. Please remember that. Okay, A transmits it in its range. The packet is sent. It's a broadcast, like it is sent within its range. Now within its range, only one station is there. Only B is there. Okay, so only B will receive the RTS. What it will get? Name of the sender is A. It will get name of the receiver is B, and some time for the transmission that A requires. So say 10. Okay, just for example. So when it gets this RTS, what B will do, if it is free, it is idle, and it wants to communicate with A, it will reply with the CTS. It will reply with the CTS. Again, CTS will contain name of the sender, who Who is the name of the sender? It's the same. A is the sender. It will be A. Name of the receiver. It will take from that RTS packet. Name of the receiver B, and transmission time is 10. Okay. Again, B sends the CTS within its range. So suppose this is the range of B. Let's imagine that this is the range of B. The CTS is sent in all the direction within its range. So all the stations within the range of B will get the CTS that was sent. What CTS contains? This data A, B and 10. Okay. There are two stations within the range of B, A and C. So both of them get the CTS. Okay, as it is shown in the diagram. Let me just rub off this so it is clear for you. So both of them get the CTS. Okay, and like Sakshi told, when C gets the CTS, C is clear that there's some communication that is going to happen between A and B. Okay, and for 10 units of time. C knows that. So C will not try to transmit data at that time. So it knows if it sends data during that time, it will result in collision. So it will wait for 10 units of time before it starts data sending. When A gets the CTS, A knows that B is ready to receive the data. So A can start sending its data to B or vice versa. So this communication can begin for 10 units of time. It has reserved B for 10 units of time. Okay, this is how your hidden terminal problem gets solved. Okay, I think we have discussed this last week also. This is very important question for you for your exams, for your practical exams as well as your theory exams. Okay, please remember this diagram as well as the answer. Are you all clear about this thing? Okay, okay. So the next question that could be asked is how MACS solves your exposed terminal problem. Who can explain about the exposed terminal problem? What is the exposed terminal problem and how MACS solves it? Who wants to try? Shubham? What is the exposed terminal problem?
So exposed terminal problem states that this thing that both if C and A are in the range of B, then if A has the made connection with the B, then C can't send the data to D also, even though D is free.
Yeah, I'll draw the D for you here. Yeah. So yeah. So A and B want to communicate with each other. Okay, these two want to communicate with each other, and C and D want to communicate with each other. Okay, as you can see, these all four nodes are not interfering with each other. Okay, but why C is not able to send data to D, Shubham?
Because B has already made given the RTC to A, and it's not allowing any.
Forget about the signals. First, you are explaining only about the exposed terminal problem. So in exposed terminal problem, these are not there. Okay.
Yeah.
So what is the problem? Why we call it as the exposed terminal problem?
Exposed terminal problem because terminals are not interfering with each other.
No. That is not the reason we call it as exposed terminal problem.
I don't know why it's called exposed terminal.
Okay. Yeah, okay. B is in the range of C. Okay. But why is it called as the exposed terminal problem? Who can try? Ugam. Why is it known as the exposed terminal problem? When you'll come offline, you should ask no if you have doubts. Now today, because I'm having this question answer series, I came to know you all have not understood this so well. So when you'll come offline, I ask you all know if you'll have doubts. The transmission from A to B is exposed to C. Correct. Yeah. Yeah, Suvarna. So can someone tell in simpler words what is the meaning of this that Suvarna has written so that Shubham understands? Suvarna has written it correctly. When two nodes are transmitting data, any other node in the range of the transmitting node cannot transmit. Yeah, exactly. Sakshi has mentioned what is the meaning of this. Okay, in technical words, this is what Suvarna has written is correct. The transmission from A to B is exposed to C. Okay, why it is exposed to C? Why we call it as exposed to C? Well, MAC has made a rule. Okay, to enforce the discipline, like Yash is saying. Okay, that when two nodes are within the transmitting range of any other node that is already or any node is in the communication range of any nodes that are transmitting, it is not allowed to transmit. So just look here. Suppose this is your diagram. Okay, A and B are already started transmission. Okay, these two nodes have already started transmission. Okay, so since C is within the range of B, this C is within the range of B. Okay, C is not allowed by MAC. Okay, remember this word MAC. MAC is not allowing this station to start transmitting data to D. Why? Because C is within the range of this one of these two stations which are already talking. So since it is in the range of these two stations, C is not allowed to send data to D. Clear? Therefore, we call it as exposed. Why? Because C is exposed to these terminals. C is exposed to this communication. Therefore, we call it as the exposed terminal problem. C is exposed to the communication between A and B. Therefore, it is not allowed to transmit to D. Clear? Shubham and others.
Yes, sir.
So please, next time I request all of you all, when the lecture is going on, sit with your notebooks and sit with your pens and note down what is being told, because unless you're doing that, you will not get it inside your heads, and then read it later on. Okay, otherwise you will not understand. Okay, we're sitting here on this side of the computer. I don't know what you all are doing on your side of the computer. Okay, so please sit with your notebooks and take down what is being told. Okay, so now that is the exposed terminal problem. Okay, so how does your MACA solve the exposed terminal problem? Can you try now, Shubham? Do you know the answer to that? How is MACA solving this?
So no, sir.
Okay, who can try? And Pranav, do you know the answer to that? How is exposed terminal problem solved by MACA?
Yes, sir, the RTS and the CTS. Yes.
Yeah.
Hello?
See. Yeah, Pranav, continue.
Yeah, so when A sends RTS to B and then C also sends CTS, that C will be that CTS signal will be sent to A also as well as to C, so that C comes to know that the communication is happening between A and B, and so that the communication will not be interfering if the C wants to transmit data to D.
Okay, I just tell the same thing in again a little slowly. So note down if you are not having it. So basically, B wants to start communicating with D. Okay, B wants to start here, communication. So you know in MSA we always use RTS and CTS. So it sends RTS within its range. So it sends RTS within its range. I'm just showing you more arrows now so that you understand that only not two RTSs are sent. Okay, so it sends a lot of RTSs in all directions within its range. Okay, if this is the range, then it sends within its range. So what the RTS contains? Name of the sender. Can you type in the chat box, all of you, what the RTS will contain? So name, it will contain, I will tell you what it contains. You all type the actual values. Okay, so B is communicating with A. The name of the sender will be what? What will be the name of the receiver? And the third is communication time. So you can put 10. But what is the name of the sender if B is starting the communicating? And what is the name of the receiver if B is sending the data to A? So if you'll just keep listening to me, then you'll don't understand. So you'll just, can you type the answer? What the RTS will contain? Yeah, it is the same RTS that is broadcasted. But since it's broadcasted, it propagates in all the directions, no? Because it's a wireless network. And I'm just, for the sake of those everyone to understand, I'm just showing a lot of arrows. Okay, it's the same RTS. It goes in all the directions, broadcast. Just to understand, for that sake of understanding, because some people may not be able to imagine it, since you all are learning this subject for the first time, just showing you through the arrows so that you all understand that RTS goes in all the directions. Okay, it's basically a broadcast only. So one RTS that will be broadcast. Okay. Yeah, so you all have already answered. Sender will be B, A will be the receiver. Okay, correct. So that RTS now will be sent across everywhere. Okay. So once this RTS has been received by everyone within the range of B, okay. So who receives within the range of B? There are two stations, A and C. So when C, there are two things that happen. When C receives the RTS, C understands that B wants to talk to someone else. Okay. And how it understands? Because it gets the receiver's name here, that the receiver is supposed to be A. Okay. Receiver is supposed to be A. It gets that from that message, from this message. So since it is not the receiver, since C is not the receiver, it does not reply with CTS. Does not reply with this CTS, since it is not supposed to be the receiver. Okay. When A gets the RTS, A checks that the receiver is supposed to be A. So A, if it is idle and wants to communicate, A replies with the CTS. When A replies with the CTS, A will put sender's name as B, receiver's name as A, and the time, and it will send it to B. Basically, this CTS is sent in, again, it's a broadcast, so it goes in all directions. But since nothing else is within the range of A, only B gets. Okay. Even if there was another station here, D, it would not have made any difference. D would have been informed through the CTS that some communication is happening between A and B. So what happens is, this is how now the C knows that how the exposed terminal problem is solved. C knows that because of this RTS, some talk will happen between these two. Okay, and since it does not receive, okay, please pay attention what I'm saying. Since it does not receive A's CTS, okay, it receives the RTS from B, but since it does not receive the CTS, whose CTS? CTS from A. Okay, CTS from A. C concludes that C is not going to interfere with this communication between A and B. Am I clear? So, since it concludes that C is not going to C is not going to interfere with that communication between A and B, so what it does, it is free to start with its communication with D. It is free to start this communication. Did you all get it? Did you get it? Can someone please repeat it? So even CTS sender will be B again. Yes, 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 Stella. See, now suppose just imagine that obviously I am the teacher here and you are the student, Stella. Okay. So if I am sending a packet with the name of the teacher, okay, and name of one student. So I say I'm addressing the packet to Stella. So I'll put name of the teacher as Mervin. I will put name of the and say I'm sending this as the RTS signal to you. Okay, just for you to understand. So I will put name of the teacher as Mervin, name of the student as Stella, and say lecture time 1 hour, and I will send it to you. Then you have to send it back to me, okay? Because you want to attend my lecture, you will acknowledge me with a CTS. So you will send name of the teacher as Mervin, name of the student as Stella, and time for lecture is 1 hour. You will not change the name of the teacher. You will not, since you are sending CTS, you will not become the teacher. Teacher will remain the same. Are you getting my point? Just to understand. So since B is going to start, here see important point is B wants to start the communication. Okay. So sender's name is not changing according to who is sending the signal. Sender's name and receiver's name according to who is going to send the data and who is going to receive the data. Okay. I think that will clarify your doubts. The sender and receiver's name is based on who is going to be the actual sender of data and actual receiver of data, not with respect to this sending and receiving of these two signals. These two signals are only sent and exchanged between the stations for reservation of the medium. So these two stations can exchange data for that duration. Okay. They are not for the, they don't denote the actual, means they tell all the other stations also which are the two stations going to be involved in the communication and for how long. So that's the purpose of these two signals. Okay. So now, Saili, can you tell me how does C understand that it is no longer exposed terminal? Because of what does it understand that C is no longer exposed terminal here in this diagram? Because of which signal it does not receive or does receive, it understands that it is not an exposed terminal.
Oh, so it didn't so it doesn't receive CTS, right?
Yes, it does not receive the CTS. It receives the RTS from B, but does not receive the CTS from A. So it understands that it is not interfering, and please note down in your books and keep, it's not interfering with this communication between these two. We does not receive the CTS. So therefore, if there was any other station here D, then C is free to start its communication this side without interfering with the communication between A and B. Okay, this signal is the key. When A sends CTS, it is only received by B, but it is not received by C. So therefore, C concludes, because it only got the RTS, that only B is within its range, but A is not within the range because it does not get CTS from A. So since it does not get CTS from A, that is what it concludes, that it is no longer exposed to this communication. So it can start its own communication with some other station. Okay, is it clear? Okay. So any other topic you all have doubts, students? When I ask you like this, you all don't tell any doubts. But when we start solving or we start discussing, then you all are faced with a lot of doubts. So then we have discussed again when a hidden in a hidden terminal problem, a collision can still occur even if you use MACA. Does anyone remember when does it happen? I told you when we were explaining this hidden terminal problem, I had explained to you when a collision can still occur even if you use MACA. When does it happen? Do you all remember? Correct, Suvarna. Correct. When both A and C send the RTS, yes. When yeah. Suvarna, Sakshi, Yash. Correct. When all the stations who want to communicate sent RTS at the same time, that time a collision could still occur. But why we accept this collision? Because we expect this packet size to be small, okay, compared to the actual data. Okay. So the other questions that could be asked on the portion that we have learned is explain the working of FDMA, TDMA, CDMA, or working of Aloha, slotted Aloha. Then explain the structure, the application, mobile computing, structure of mobile computing application, characteristics of mobile computing, very important question. Okay, we studied the different characteristics. So basically, these are the questions that I will be asking you on Thursday or Friday when you are coming for the corrections. By the way, I have put up the tutorials for you. Okay, so you can check here on your Google Classroom. I have showed put the tutorials, tutorial 1 and tutorial 2. Both these tutorial questions and answers are there. Questions are there obviously here. Answers you can find in these 2 textbooks. Okay, most of the answers will be there in the second textbook, Jochen Schiller. You don't have to search it on the internet. You just open this textbook, the answers are there. Okay, so you can I hope you all have bought the tutorial books. If not, then you can buy on Thursday, and you can tell me on Thursday if you need some more time to submit the tutorial, then I can give you some more time. But start writing the tutorials. Okay, you need to write them on the tutorial books itself. So I think I'll stop for now. Tomorrow we'll be starting with a brand new topic known as mobile IP, okay, or mobile internet protocol. So see you all for tomorrow's lecture. And if you all have any doubts, then please let me know in these lectures or online or offline lectures that we are conducting, so that I can solve your doubts. Okay. And yeah, your attendance I've already got from the my software that is there here. Okay. You can already see here is I got all your attendance, those people who have been present for today's lecture. You can see here, this is the attendance I already have of all of you. Okay. See, this is the attendance which is already there with me. The ones in the green are present. What time you all have entered the lecture, what time you all have left, or you all got disconnected, and all those record is there with me here. Okay. So I'll be marking your attendance based on this. So see you all for tomorrow's lecture, and have a great day.